it, Joe. You're gonna be the next president of the United States.
I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
Do you stand by your statement that you did not discuss any of your son's overseas business dealings?
Yes, I stand by that statement.
Just 2 months later, in December 2019, the FBI seized Hunter Biden's laptop from Paul Mac Isaac, the owner of the Mac shop located in Wilmington, Delaware. FBI investigators handling Hunter Biden's laptop quickly concluded in 2019 that the laptop was genuinely his and did not seem to have been tampered with or manipulated. Think of that. The FBI knew in December 2019 that Hunter's laptop was genuine. It had nothing to do with Russian collusion. 10 months later. On Wednesday, October 14th, the Hunter Biden laptop story breaks, and it's only 3 weeks until the 2020 presidential election. The story is bombshell, appearing on the front page of the New York Post. Biden's secret emails.
The Post has obtained emails revealing that Hunter Biden introduced his father to a top executive at Burisma, where Hunter served on the board of directors, while Joe Biden was vice president. While Joe Biden has been adamant that he's never spoken to his son about Hunter's overseas business dealings, the correspondence seems to indicate otherwise. The emails are just a portion of the data that has been recovered from a laptop that was reportedly dropped off at a repair shop in 2019 before it was seized by the FBI. Also included are pictures of Hunter and a video that appears to show him smoking crack while engaged in a sex act. The Delaware repair shop owner claims he made a copy of the hard drive, which he gave to Rudy Giuliani's lawyer. Steve Bannon alerted the Post to the existence of the drive, and it was provided to the Post by Giuliani on Sunday.
Let's pause here for a side note. This action by Steve Bannon catapulted him to the top of the Democrat political hit list. He immediately became a target of the Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and the Merrick Garland regime, a prime candidate for Democrat lawfare. When the Democrats were in power under Nancy Pelosi, they put together the House Select Committee regarding January 6th in another attempt to get Trump. Pelosi refused to allow any ranking Republican member to be part of the committee. This was the first time in the history of the U.S. House of Representatives that ranking minority representation on a committee had been blocked. The 9-member committee was made up of 7 Trump-hating Democrats and 2 Rhino Republicans volunteers, Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, who both voted for Trump's second impeachment. Everyone you see here absolutely hates Donald Trump. With her stacked committee members, Pelosi could now go after her political enemies, Steve Bannon being one of those at the top of her list. So, it was no surprise when Bannon was subpoenaed to come before the committee and to provide documents. Bannon, however, refused. He stated that he was standing up for his political beliefs against this illegitimate committee. Bannon's contempt of Congress was a welcome response for Pelosi to get the corrupt Merrick Garland Justice Department involved. It was a welcomed slam-dunk conviction that sent Steve Bannon to federal prison to serve 4 months behind bars. This is lawfare. The Biden-Harris administration has weaponized the justice system to attack their political opponents. It's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris who are fascists and who are turning the United States into a banana republic. They operate a two-tiered justice system. On June 12, 2024, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress for defying a congressional subpoena. However, unlike Steve Bannon, the Justice Department would not prosecute Merrick Garland for contempt of Congress. One final thought to this side note. The photo below is of the People's Court of Germany. Approximately 90% of all cases that came before this court between 1942 and 1945 ended in guilty verdicts. Of those guilty verdicts, more than 5,000 death sentences were ordered. The People's Court and the House Select Committee, pictured above, have two things in common. They were both motivated by hate, and they were both totally corrupt. What they do not have in common, however, is absolute power. Only the People's Court had that. I shudder to think what the consequences would have been if the House Select Committee possessed absolute power over life and death. On the day after the Hunter Biden laptop story is released, all censorship hell broke loose. The bombshell Biden story is blocked by Facebook and Twitter. Social media, in coordination with multiple bad actors in government, buried the story to protect Joe Biden. Surprisingly, 5 days later, 51 former U.S. intelligence officials signed an open letter stating that they were deeply suspicious that the Russian government played a significant role in the Biden laptop story. It's frightening to think that so many highly ranked and trusted national security individuals and officers could be brought together so quickly to sign their names to perhaps the most egregious lies in our nation's history, lies that helped change the outcome of the 2020 presidential election, lies that went beyond election interference, lies that expose 51 former national intelligence individuals as traitors and as enemies from within. They begin their lies by declaring their devotion to our national security. They then reveal who they are, establishing their high positions of importance while alleging their political neutrality. This first paragraph is cunningly designed to establish confidence and credibility. Masterfully, they then unanimously identify Russia as one of our nation's primary adversaries engaged in undermining our national security. Then, to add to their fake trustworthiness, they write, "With some of us knowing Russian behavior intimately as we work to defend our nation against it for a career." Knowing now the subterfuge of this letter, the next paragraph is repugnant. It is reprehensible in its deceitfulness.
Perhaps most important, each of us believes deeply that American citizens should determine the outcome of elections, not foreign governments. All of us agree with the Founding Fathers' concern about the damage that foreign interference in our politics can do to our democracy.
The fact that these 51 traitors declare they believe deeply American citizens should determine the outcome of elections, while with this very letter are in the act of sabotaging the 2020 election, is shocking. They write,
Such an operation would be consistent with Russian objectives to create political chaos in the United States and to undermine the candidacy of former Vice President Biden and thereby help the candidacy of President Trump. For Russians at this point, with Trump down in the polls, there is incentive for Moscow to pull out the stops to do anything possible to help Trump win and/or to weaken Biden should he win. A laptop op fits the bill as the publication of the emails are clearly designed to discredit Biden.
This is unbelievable. These 51 reprobates are suggesting that the purpose of the Russian laptop was to undermine Joe Biden in favor of Donald Trump. Nothing could be further from the truth. Authoritarian communist countries like Russia and China would much rather deal with a weak, compromised, pusillanimous leader like Joe Biden than a strong leader like Donald Trump. Sadly, the FBI was also involved in this treasonous plot.
Media reports say that the FBI has now opened an investigation into Russian involvement in this case. According to USA Today, federal authorities are investigating whether the material supplied to the New York Post by Rudy Giuliani is part of a smoke bomb of disinformation pushed by Russia.
Yes, there was a smoke bomb of disinformation. However, it was pushed not by a foreign enemy like Russia, but by these 51 traitors, Joe Biden, the FBI, and the mainstream media, all enemies from within. Now that the truth has been exposed, let's hope all of these spies are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. 4 days later, the final presidential debate was held between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. The trap was set. Joe was prepared for any mention of his son's laptop. So, as you will see when Trump did mention the laptop from hell, the NBC moderator, Kristen Welker, quickly tried to change the subject. It appears Kristen was not privy to Biden's treasonous plot. However, when Biden countered, "Kristen, I have to respond to that." Kristen, of course, immediately conformed to his request. Biden then let loose his prepared ambush response.
Please respond, and then we're going to have follow-up
If this stuff is
questions.
true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq, if this is true, then he's a corrupt politician.
All right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody's
Take a look
President
at the
Trump, I
laptop
want to
from
stay
hell.
on the issue
Excuse
of
me,
race. We're
take a
talking
look at
about
the
the issue.
laptop from hell.
President Trump, we're
Nobody.
talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
And I
you've
have
just
to respond to that.
Please,
Because look,
very
there
quickly.
are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
And
You
that's
gotta
exactly
be-
what-
Is this
that's
where you're
exactly
going?
what
This
was
is
told.
where he's going. The laptop is Russia,
Yeah.
Gentlemen,
Russia.
I want to stay on the issue of race.
You
okay?
have to be kidding. Here we
Mr.
go
President,
again with Russia.
We're going to continue on the issue of
Biden's lie worked. We just witnessed election duplicity and interference at its best. America was told that 51 high-level intelligence officers had signed their names stating the Hunter Biden laptop was absolutely Russian disinformation. With only 11 days till the election, how does one overcome that? Then 3 days later, it gets even worse as we witness another example of Donald Trump having to debate not only his political opponent, but also another fake news network. On Monday, October 26th, President Trump sits down to an interview with Leslie Stahl of 60 Minutes. For those of you who wish to watch the portion of the interview 60 Minutes aired, we placed a link in the comments below. However, this portion of the interview was not aired by 60 Minutes. It exists because Donald Trump also had the interview recorded. 60 Minutes refused to give Hunter Biden's laptop any attention.
And you think it's the biggest issue to campaign on?
I think it's one of the biggest scandals I've ever seen, and you don't cover it.
Biggest.
You want to talk about
Well, because it can't be verified.
you want to talk
I'm
about
telling you.
insignificant things.
I'm telling you.
Of course it can be verified. Excuse me,
We
they
cannot
found the
ver-
laptop. Leslie,
It can't be
Leslie,
verified.
what can't be verified?
The laptop.
The Hunter Biden laptop was absolutely verified. CBS, however, directly participated in the cover-up. Remember 11 months earlier, in December 2019, the FBI seized the laptop from Mac Isaac. FBI investigators handling Hunter Biden's laptop quickly concluded, in 2019, that the laptop was genuinely his and did not seem to have been tampered with or manipulated. 8 days later, the rigged general election was held. Joe Biden won both the popular vote and the electoral vote. In fact, Biden received more popular votes than anyone in U.S. history. The amazing thing is he did it by spending much of his time campaigning out of his basement. When Joe did leave his basement to campaign, he could barely fill a junior high cafeteria. Trump's crowds, on the other hand, consistently filled sports stadiums. In 2016, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. She received over 65 million votes, 15 million votes less than what Joe Biden received in 2020. I wonder where those extra 15 million Democrat voters came from. In 2012, Barack Obama won the popular vote. He too received over 65 million votes. When Obama ran for president in 2008, he was very popular. He received over 69 million votes, more votes than anyone in U.S. history until Basement Joe came along. Nearly 4 of 5 Americans who've been following the Hunter Biden laptop scandal believe that truthful coverage would have changed the outcome of the 2020 presidential election, according to a new poll.